Hello, it's Wednesday. Back to work today. So, he's done. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, or if you hang out in the Discord, you'll have already seen this guy. He is done, the video is done, the video is currently up on Patreon, and will be going up on YouTube later on. So if you want to see the video now, you can go and become a patron. It's $5 to get early access to videos. And you can check out the tutorial for this guy. I'll stick in the 360 footage here. It's like 10 seconds of 360 degrees in nice lighting. So, I really did not enjoy painting the Goliaths. They're kind of inconvenient to paint, which is a bit of a stupid thing to really level against a model, but it affects how much I enjoy painting them. The stuff on their back just makes it really awkward to paint all of their skin, and the shape of the greaves is just really difficult to paint for some reason. I've noticed that even the heavy metal team, or the Forge Wall team, whoever painted the official GW sculpts of these, they seem to have difficulty getting the shadows correct on the greaves, and the reflections correct on the greaves, and so did I. And so has everyone who has ever painted a Goliath, it seems. There is just something about the way that the greaves are shaped and oriented that makes them very tricky, or they just always look wrong for some reason. The van braces, on the other hand, they're fine. Work out perfectly fine. But yeah, there's a lot of things that are inconvenient. I don't like the way that they did the Necromunda faces and heads, where on the Goliaths you can put a completely different front of the face on and a different mohawk. Like, yeah, it seems like a great idea in practice, but in reality it usually resulted in, not seam lines, but, well yeah, seam lines, I guess, that either had to be filled, or I often got glue spilling out once I actually pushed the face on. So, yeah, didn't like that. Also, the faces are really small and scrunched up, so you can't actually see the eyes. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are just mildly inconvenient about painting the Goliaths, and the Eschers have a lot of the same problems. Yeah, that just makes them less fun to paint than some other stuff that Games Workshop's made. That doesn't mean that the main studio is guilt-free on this part. There are some models that are just absolutely a massive chore to paint, such as Thousand Suns Rubric Marines, which, I don't know if you've noticed, but not many people have posted finished pictures of those on the internet since they came out. And that's because they're just really time-consuming to paint because of all of the trim and all of the tiny details. It's not like Custodes where you can just spray them gold and work from there. No, those Rubric Marines are an absolute chore. Whereas, you know, Space Marines and Stormcast Eternals are super easy to paint, and therefore lots of people enjoy painting them, because they're all just flat surfaces in a single colour, usually. Speaking of which... Bam! Well, I've been watching Futurama. I've got Elzar stuff in my head now. This is test model number 1 for the Fast Riders. There was a poll on my Patreon as to which Storm host I should paint, and the Tempest Lords won. The Tempest Lords also happen to share a colour scheme with Celestial Knights, and a couple of other Storm hosts, which are secretly just all the Crimson Fists colours. So this is also a good recipe for the Crimson Fists Space Marine chapter, if you're interested in that. Yeah, he's coming along. I've only spent about 3 hours on him so far. Most of the time spent edge highlighting all of the armour, which is just, yeah, really time consuming. I'm not entirely sure what to do with this stuff down here that's inside here. It's clearly not metal because it's conforming with the shape of the cloak, So this is evidently like embroidered on, whereas this is definitely a metal stud that goes through the cloak and to this. So these are like, in my head, these are connected on either side of the cloak. But this just seems to be just some, not embroidered, but it's some extra material that's been sewn onto the inside of the lining of the cloak. And I'm not sure what colour to paint that at the moment. Suggestions in the comments about that. Yeah, they've been really enjoyable to paint so far, again, because they're basically just one colour. And pretty easy, and you know, all of my skills painting Space Marines can just transfer straight over to Stormcast Eternals. So, absolutely no stripping going on here with these guys. I'm nailing it on first try. I've got the... This is what they look like, just airbrushed. Yes, I'm using the airbrush on these guys. But you could do all of this with a paintbrush, especially this. This would just be wet blending. You could do all this with a paintbrush and just base coat it with the base colour. And you'll get 90% of the way there. It's just so much faster for me to do it with an airbrush. So what I'm doing with these is, as I paint the test model, I'm updating a post on my Patreon that the $10 patrons with backstage access have access to. So I'm updating it in real time as I paint the model. So as I make decisions about what to paint things, I'm going on there, I'm updating the post, writing down the next step on each section. Unless I later decide to undo it, in which case I'll just go back and delete it. And that's also functioning as my notes, essentially. So you can go on there and you can get access to how to paint. So if you're a more experienced painter, you don't need to see me paint something in order to be able to, you know, interpret the skills, and you just want to know the colours that I've used to achieve a certain look, then that is available to you. And those colour guides will only be available to patrons. I don't do like a photo at every single step, because that would take forever. But maybe when I'm painting the full guy, I'll update that guide with pictures from him at each step, and then it will be slightly more nice painting tutorial just written down, because I know some people like written down painting tutorials. But yeah, I can't update photos from my phone, and I'm just sitting here adding things to the list on the post from my phone as I'm painting. So yeah, these guys, soonish. I'm not fully sure exactly when the video for these guys will be available on Patreon. I would like for it to be the weekend, so that I can go all straight from the Necromunda early access into the Fast Riders, and then maybe I'll be able to get Magor's Fiends out as well, but I suspect not, because like I said, the edge highlighting is just really time consuming, and I have to spend the next 4 days working. So unless I get all the stuff that I've got on my schedule for work done early, I'm not going to be able to paint on these guys again until Sunday, or Saturday night maybe. So yeah, these guys are coming along. Gap filling the shoulders didn't go great. You can probably see there. Yeah, this guy came out a bit better on the gap filling. But, and this guy doesn't need any gap filling. The leader doesn't actually really need any gap filling. So these guys are definitely not going to be my Age of Sigmar unit entry in Glden Demon, even though I'm actually quite chuffed with them. And Age of Sigmar unit is a very, very easy category to enter, because in 2018 Classic and the 2017 Classic, the average number of entries in Age of Sigmar unit was about 12. And in the 2018 one, over half of those were Age of Sigmar warbands. The Warhammer Underworld warband. So it's actually a very, very easy category if you want to get a Glden Demon pin into Age of Sigmar unit in your Glden Demon Classic. Alternatively, enter Necromunda Gang. Apparently at Warhammer Fest, there were only 5 entries in the whole category. which means you basically had a 50% or better chance to win an actual demon. One suspects the Necromunda Gang category might not come back in the next Warhammer Fest Golden Demon Classic because of lack of interest. Similarly, Blood Bowl team, very few people enter that. They don't want to paint that many models, but competition standard for the thing, which means that you can actually win it with just a tabletop standard team, which I've seen happen. So that's a thing. Yeah, categories that require painting a large number of models, no one enters them. You've got a much better chance of winning them. Categories where you only have to paint a single model, like vehicle and the single figure categories, everyone enters those, because everyone thinks that they can just paint one figure and win it. Whereas in reality, just paint a squad. Enter squad. You'll probably get a pin. All of my pins of Golden Demon have been from... I don't know if you heard that. All of my pins at Golden Demon have been from the multiple model categories. I've never gotten a pin in a single figure category because the competition's too harsh. And if I do win a Golden Demon, it'll probably be in a multiple figure category. To be honest. That's because I like painting squads, though. I like painting units of models. That's why I always try to endeavour to paint a unit of something for my tutorials, so that you can see them as a unit rather than individuals. And if I only ever painted a single figure, it's because I really didn't enjoy painting the test model to the point that I didn't want to paint more than one other model after that test model. Such as Custodes and Goliaths. And I only had one Nighthaunt. I would have painted more Nighthaunt, but I only had one, so that one doesn't count. What else have I been up to? I picked up a plastic liberator. This is not it's not a push fit one. It's the one they give away on the front of the magazine. That's like, learn how to do Age of Sigmar's good. That it was £1 in my local game store, and I was like, £1 for a single liberator I can use for a painting tutorial. All right, I'll get that. Threw the magazine in the recycling. Assembled the figure. Still need to smooth out that shoulder pad a bit. But I have a cunning plan for this guy. It's a bit of a meme-ish video, but it'll still be a painting tutorial that'll teach you something. But it should be fun. You'll know it when you see it. And that's pretty much it. Again, just painting this guy has taken me all of my available painting time this week. And I primed a Blood Bowl Goblin, because I had primer left in the airbrush when I was priming stuff. And that's pretty much it. I want to paint the Rogue Trader from Rogue Trader. I'm not that bothered about the rest of the guys. Maybe the doggy, he's kind of cute. But Miss Vane, I want to paint her. And I can't afford the Rogue Trader expansion, because I'm saving my money for Speed Freaks, because orcs. And this is an annoying thing I have, because I'm like, I would like to be able to unbox and review every single Games Workshop release. But that would require that I buy every single Games Workshop release, and I can't afford to do that, because YouTube is some of my income. And for those that don't know, I'm an independent games developer, and I sell my video games on Steam. And that doesn't make much money at all, unless some massive YouTuber with a huge following plays your game. Then, yeah, you're not making much cash whatsoever. My partner basically supports me, which is lovely. On the basis of maybe one day my games will suddenly hit the zeitgeist and will become rich, and I can then start making video games and just paint full time. But I can barely afford to cover my share of the bills with the income I make from that, and everything that I make from this bit of my hobby, the YouTube and Patreon, that is all the money that I spend on new models and such, and I don't make much from that. and I'm saving it all up for Speed Freak, so I cannot unbox and review everything that Games Workshop puts out, never mind other miniatures companies that have things that I quite like and would like to review, even though I would never have time to paint them. Hashtag have you seen the Horizon Zero Dawn Kickstarter? It looks pretty great. I loved that video game. Never finished it, but the world was amazing. And I would like to paint the Aloy figure that's in the Kickstarter, but you have to pledge like 100 quid for it or something, and I can't afford that either. Slash, it comes with 90 models, and I would never be able to paint that many models. For any video, for any game. That's just insane. That's more than an army for 40k. Unless you're playing Orcs, in which case it's barely even 3 squads. But, yeah. So I can't do that. I don't know where I'm going with this little ramble. I'm mostly just lamenting and being a bit sad. And even if I was to buy all of the releases and then just, say, sell them immediately on eBay after having unboxed them, I would still be losing quite a lot of money in that process, because you can never sell anything on eBay for the value that you paid for it. So that's a bit sad. I'm considering opening commissions for single figures, specifically from like new releases, so that someone can pay me to paint, for example, Miss Bane from the Rogue Trader expansion, and I'll paint them and I'll do a tutorial video of painting that, and then send the model back. That would be nice. Also, if they could, if anybody out there wants to just buy stuff and send it to me, that's pretty good. Or just, you know, just so I can unbox it, review it on the channel, and then off it goes. Send it right back. That would be a good deal. I like looking at models. And that would only cost me the postage of sending it on again. So not a huge loss compared to, say, trying to buy something and then flip it on eBay and make as much of the money back as I can. Because I don't have enough time to paint commissions. Even though painting commissions would probably pay better than my current job. I want to enjoy painting models. Anyway, that's what I've been up to this week. It's just all Stormcasts all the time, really. I really, really like this colour scheme. I mean, of the 2 colour schemes I've done, this guy and Jump Cut. Yeah. So of the Stormcast's colour schemes that I've done, I really cannot decide between them. I've definitely gotten better at painting between doing this guy and this guy. I've noticed this. Certainly at doing highlighting cloaks, although this is probably one of the first cloaks I did that I was actually really happy with. I've definitely gotten better at painting in general between these 2 models. But colour scheme wise, I don't know, there's something really striking about that white and purple, isn't there? With the gold. I don't know, if I was to do a Stormcast Eternals army, what would I paint them as? Certainly not the default colour scheme, because I never like painting anything in the default colour scheme, because I'm a hipster and want to be special. But yeah, the blue and the red is nice, but I don't know, something... I really like the white. It really says... It says Stormcast to me, because it's just like, we're all about being clean and royal. It's got a lot of royalness to it. I don't know, probably this colour scheme is what I'd use if I had a Stormcast Eternals army, which I'm considering getting a small one of, because I might end up getting a copy of Soul Wars. Is it Soul Wars? For my local game store for the super cheap price of free, because they're running a competition at the moment. Just a prize draw. I might win. And if I do, I'll have a bunch of magic-y guys to paint. And I'll paint like one of them in a different colour scheme for the channel. And then paint the rest of them for an army. Because if I understand it, there isn't a properly full army in there anyway, and I'd have to get a bunch of extra kits to push it up to proper numbers. I do like those secretors though. They're ridiculous. So yeah, Stormcast Eternals, they're secretly just Space Marines in terms of painting skills. If you can paint these, you can paint Space Marine. Really, it's the same skills, same skill sets. So yeah, comment below if you have an idea of what to paint this weird little detail here on the cloak. There's another one on the other side, which I think is going to be a nightmare to paint, but fortunately I've not glued this guy onto his base. So I can get in underneath there. Yeah, do not glue these guys on their bases if you want to paint them. Oh my gosh. Getting in, because you can't, because the shoulder pads are usually attached to the cloak. So you have to glue that together so that you can gap fill the shoulder pads. But then trying to get, I don't know if you can see, trying to get all the way in there to paint that detail, which you can quite clearly see, but it's going to be really difficult to get a brush in there if they're on their base. Will be a nightmare. So yeah, do not glue these guys in the bases. Future people who are watching this video, do not glue these guys to their bases when painting them. Oops. Oh well, that'll be fine. I just broke a peg off in the hole. But fortunately, these guys sit really nicely on their bases without it. Also, this means I can now just put pins in his feet, which is better. I don't need this on blue tack anymore. That's right, you just watched me break a model right here, live on YouTube. Pink tack. No longer needs that. I can put pins in his feet and paint him that way. My preferred way of painting stuff. Yeah, so don't glue these guys to these models. Don't glue these guys to their bases. I'm also not sure what to paint these little lightning bolts here as. Do I just edge highlight them, or do I paint them as silver, or do I paint them as white? I just noticed I've got some red on that knee pad there. Need to fix that later. Yeah. But yeah, you can get in like that really easily to paint that area. But if it was on its base, it'd be horrible. And someone commented below saying that they hated painting these models because there were lots of fiddly areas to get into. Now, to be honest, I can't really see that many of them on this guy. Again, because this guy's bit on his cloak is actually out. And here you can see it's definitely cloth and not metal, because otherwise why else would it conform to that curve like that? But they said there's lots of fiddly areas to get into to paint, and to be honest, the only things I can see are this stuff here, which I think this guy also has. Yeah, this guy's got a similar problem, those bits being behind their legs. And everywhere else has been really easy to access for me. Also, I don't know what these things are on their belts. They're just like a box hanging from their belts. I don't know what they are. Does anyone know what they are? What do they? It looks hip flask is what my brain's telling me. It's just like a Walkman, iPod. They've got a little thing for their iPod or their phone on their belts. And yeah, I don't know what that is. Don't know how to paint that. Is it supposed to be metal? I'm probably just going to paint it as metal. Unless someone in the comments tells me what it is. So yeah, that's it. I've rambled for far too long and I'm going to edit this down. So, as usual, all the calls to action that I'm supposed to do on YouTube. Like, share and subscribe. You can subscribe there. You can go to Patreon there. There's social medias over there on that side of the screen. There's another video you can watch right there. And that's it. Yeah. Bye.